When you open up the sample workspace, you'll see it has 6 windows. The 2 on the left are a radar screen and a chart analysis window that are linked together and are displaying index futures. On the right are a radar screen, a chart analysis, and another chart analysis that are displaying equities. In the bottom left is a browser window that gets you to the page about the indicator on my website. So let's take a look at the upper left, the index futures radar screen. There's HVWAP 3 and HVWAP 3.delta inserted in the chart. We have these symbols. There is a 5-minute interval on the chart. The symbols are in the regular session. You can right click on VWAP 3 to see how it's configured. Since it's in a radar screen, I'm only looking at band 2, which is in this case a common standard deviation 2 sigma plus and minus. I'm not using the dynamic upper or lower in this case because that would take multiple days. Now remember, because this is a radar screen, whether it's futures or equities, I need to turn on update value intrabar or tick by tick and need to load additional data. If you do not do this, it will not capture at the beginning of the session. You have to do that both for index futures or equities, doesn't matter, for both of the indicators when it's inserted in a radar screen. In the chart analysis, it's symbol linked. It has the symbol. You can right click on the symbol and see how it's formatted. This happens to be a regular session for the .d in the standard configuration. In the upper part you see the chart data with VWAP set. If you right click on that, you can see the settings for VWAP. I'm using S or intraday session. First alertable candle doesn't really matter because I do not have alerts set on for alerts. However, it does matter in the perspective that I am looking for it to calculate the dynamic upper and lower. The dynamic upper and lower are these blue dots: band 1 up, band 1 down, band 2 down, band 2 up, and you can see how that looks. In addition to VWAP, we also have VWAP 3 delta in 2 different configurations. In the upper configuration, we are not running it tick by tick because we do not have alerts set. We are running it again on the intrabar session. We are using the first alertable candle at 12. As I said in previous, I do not think the first hour excursions from VWAP are relevant, and I'll show you why in a moment. We're using the standard common deviations, plus and minus 2 on the upper and lower delta. We do not have an alert set, and we're looking at the last 10 previous sessions to generate a dynamic upper and lower. Now, one thing I want you to see, show before first alertable is false. If we turn that to true, you will see in these areas where there is no bars, there will be bars displayed. And you can see in many cases those bars that get displayed show a fairly substantial excursion. And it's because of that, especially take a look at this one, that I ignore that, because if I didn't ignore that and I kept that bar in from the first alertable, then it would influence the way the indicator decides what the dynamic upper and lower are. I'm going to set that back to false, and you can see how that goes. Then this version of VWAP delta is using the uncommon standard deviation formula, but all the inputs otherwise are the same. You can see over time how it calculates an estimate of where the lower dynamic bar line is and the upper. In addition, it has set both a plus and minus 2 as the standard upper and lower delta. Could be any number you like, but I start with 2, and then After sessions are over, I make modifications. Today, in hindsight, clearly, I would have looked at these last few sessions, taken a look. Upper delta here was 178, 182, 186. So I might have changed this to 1.9 and turned the alert on. And then I would have captured and I would have been alerted early. The right hand side, a similar kind of idea except for equities. The interval on the radar screen is 1 minute instead of 5 minutes, 1 minute on the chart. I do want to jump down to this bottom chart. It's a 15-minute, also linked in, and it's got the indicator inserted two ways. One with session of W, which is weekly, and if you right click on the white, you will see weekly, and I set the color to be white for weekly, and you can see the first 5 days of the month. The weekly and the monthly VWAP and 2 standard deviations are the same, and then the following weeks of the month there is a different weekly VWAP versus monthly VWAP. This is just an example so you can see how to insert both of those on the chart at the same time. The one difference here, and I just wanted to bring your raise your awareness, is the equities. For your example here, I just happen to change to US stock with pre and post market, and again I'm using the intraday session break to generate new VWAP. Now the one thing you will notice is when this happens, it generates materially different excursion expectations than if the session was regular. So if you change this back to regular, you look here, the most recent was minus 2.44. It changes that to minus 2.75 because it's looking back at 10 regular sessions where previously was looking back at 10 intraday sessions where each day represented 3 different intraday sessions. You can simply click through here, see what those look like for all of those. I will say I do prefer, when I'm doing this, to have regular session on the equities because that's what I trade and I don't have as much focus on the other sessions. Clearly you can use this without the dynamic upper and lower. If you set that to 0, you're going to get much more typical look and feel for your chart. Then if you go into a different session, let's pick that pre and post again, you will see materially different locations for check that. You'll see the exact same VWAP and bands, you just won't have the excursion analyzed. I realize I went through that quickly, but the best thing here to do is get to each chart, right click on them, take a look at how the indicator is configured, play around, make some changes, and go from there. The documentation you can get to from this screen here. Go down there, learn about the product. There's your documentation. And should you have any questions, you can always send me an email. I hope this helped. Thanks for listening.